What do we get frustrated about? We say, I know you have this information about me. Why do you have to ask me every question? Just ask me about the information that you don't have.
Right.
That increases customer satisfaction hugely.
You have to pay attention.
Well, I'm pleased to welcome Linda Dotz from Blue Prism. Linda is the Senior Vice President for Global Partner Strategy and Programs. Thank you for joining us in our AI interview series here at the AI Summit in San Francisco.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
What's a tangible example for people to get their teeth into about what how Blue Prism has helped a client or a sector?
Okay. So I like to use the insurance sector.
Great.
It's actually one of the sectors that we do a lot of business in. It's not the fastest growing, but if you think of some of the challenges, everybody understands them because every one of us has some type of insurance policy. We've all dealt with the insurance companies. And what happens is they have processes like maybe they're onboarding you as a new customer. And there's a lot of information that has to be passed back and forth between you and the insurance company. Maybe. So what Blue Prism does is we work with those companies to understand those processes, right? And for the ones that are very, what we call straight through, meaning all the information's in a digitized format, there's a set of rules that I have to follow that says, if this is true, if this is false, do these things. Those are very easy to automate. And then we look at the next set of processes that says, okay, well this one, may come in a digitized format, or it may have a handwritten claim, or it may have a photo. How am I going to recognize what that is? So then we start to work with our partners, like Cognizant, right, to look at who are the partners in your network. Do you have an OCR partner, for an example, that can read that handwritten form?
Right.
Get the information that's required, not everything, right? We don't need all of it, but we need the key pieces of information. Translate that into a digital format. Now, instead of maybe being able to process 40% of those claims in an automated way, we're up to 60%. And then maybe it's the pictures, right? And being able to recognize as the picture saying, yes, this is something we cover, or no, it's not. It may not even be, right, in the coverage plan that we have, or it may be, but it does have to go to a special underwriter. Blue Prism is really good at going into those different data sources, bringing that information together, determining what you need, and then what you have, and only asking the customer, or only having, say, the agent ask the customer for the missing information. That increases customer satisfaction hugely, right? Because
I would imagine that one of the bigger challenges is actually identifying those unknown unknowns that the client doesn't even know about, right? And having to dig in and figure out, okay, but wait, the source is somewhere else, right? How do you guys go about?
That's where our partners come in, right?
Okay.
So typically our partners actually know quite a bit about their customers' business processes, right? Because they've done some sort of consultancy work with them, or in many cases, like in Cognizant's case, you actually run these processes for the customers, right? So you kind of know how they work, and it's your people that will often come to the table with, okay, here's the 5 things that we could very quickly automate. Here's the one that are going to be a little bit harder. Here's the ones that are going to need some additional applications, additional smart applications to work with. So it's often the partner that will bring that information to us, but there's also things like process mining software. Blue Prism just announced a partnership today with Celonis.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, it's a good one. And what they do is they are actually able to map processes, right? And they'll kind of come down and they'll say, all right, 50% of the times you run this process, out of the millions of times you might run it, it's always done the same way. The next 10% have these variations, the next 20% have these variations. And a lot of times then that's where Cognizant will come in and we'll say, okay, we'll work with the customer, right, to figure out how to narrow those variations.
Right.
Have them when they're needed, but narrow them
like
when
that
they're
approach.
not.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
So that's where you guys come in. Once you've done that work, then it's back to Blue Prism to run that process over and over again and do it with, again, reliability, scalability, security, all the things that are really important to customers.
That's a fantastic partnership story.
It is.
Yeah, that's
it
really
is.
wonderful.